This is probably the biggest era of change coming up since the invention of the iPhone accelerated social media in a profound way. In that will be some of the biggest opportunities that you will ever see in your entire life. When faced with somebody telling you something you've never heard about before, or something new in your journey, if you meet that new genre, that new platform, that new technology with the concept of maybe, you will have a much greater chance to get out of the world what you want.
You know, recently, Gary Vee actually talked about AI and how it's going to affect you. In this video, you're going to hear some really cool stuff, but in the very end of the video, I want you to listen for this. He's going to give you 2 things you can do to explode your business and maybe 10 times your sales. Let's check it out.
Ladies and gentlemen, Gary Vaynerchuk.
All right, welcome, Gary.
Thank you.
What's your take on tech innovation, and what separates the real innovations from the fad?
These AI products that are out there right now, forget about we have to figure out copyright and trademark. I mean, we can't even begin to use the creative products at our agency because we don't know the sources of the creative. And we have contracts with our clients that put us in a vulnerable spot. But entrepreneurs and small businesses, they'll do it all day long. The critical thinking of the input becomes a really interesting game. You know, it's really funny for me to watch all these schools and universities ban all these products. They'd rather have kids memorize information that's a commodity than start teaching people critical thinking of inputting into the AI products, which is actually the punchline. This is what I've been waiting for my whole life. I've never been good at the commodity. I can't put 7 sentences together that are proper grammar, but I can come up with the ideas. I'm actually very excited. I've heard a lot of people talk about this is bad for the creative industry. I'm like, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened to the creative industry. It's just gonna be the greatest thing that happens to the creative people. The commodity of creativity, executing it, that's gonna be commoditized, but that's what's always happened. Innovation's always gonna do this. So I think the interesting thing is twofold. 1, this is about to expose the most creative, critical thinkers. And 2, it's still gonna come down to the idea. Anytime you have your heart and your brain 100% aligned on something, please stop hesitating. Because the only thing that's stopping you is your insecurity at that point. Your anxiety and insecurity in your body is always wrong. And yet, a lot of you allow it to make decisions above your heart and your head. And it is the great mistake of the human being. We talked about a lot of stuff today, but if you leave with anything, when your heart and your head agree, it's always right.
Look, as always, awesome, thank you.
I enjoyed it. You did a great job. Thank you. There's not a single creative agency that of the great 30, 40, which I have incredible admiration for what they do making a television commercial. The problem is, if they ever took those talents and refurbished them to understand how to make day in and day out creative work in social, the talents at all these creative agencies would have a much better life. They would enjoy it. Could you imagine being someone who's creative, sitting in 9 months of meetings, and then a year later, like 7 months later, seeing a television commercial and seeing a speck of what you thought in it? 16 months to get
To something that doesn't see the light of day and ends up on the cutting room floor. I wonder what they thought of when you said that we, at the agency, our goal is to create 40 to 70 pieces of content a day. They don't hear that ever in the region. Ever, Gary, ever.
They don't hear it in America. Nobody's made that commitment yet except for small businesses and creators, entrepreneurs, small businesses. The Fortune 500 landscape is only hearing that for the first time by us, and it's working. My friends, we're in Dubai. Come say hello if you're in the region.
Today we have Gary Vee with us. Hi, Gary.
How are you?
I'm good. What is the ratio that someone needs to have between empathy and decisiveness?
Well, I think for me, empathy leads to my decisiveness. If you can actually feel the other person and take in their feelings, whether it's one person or the world or a target you're going after, really leaning on curiosity and empathy leads to decisiveness. And so I don't view them as counters. I view that one is feeding the other.
You have a knack for predicting consumer trends and behaviors. Can you give us a read on what's about to happen on social media platforms and media in general? Because I know that you were a big advocate for NFTs and everything. So tell us a little bit about how you see things going.
So first of all, I don't think I tend to predict. I think I talk about what things are happening. So for example, last year, billions of dollars were spent on NFTs on a weekly basis. This is happening, pay attention. But to your point, 9 months later, I started making unlimited videos that say 99% of these NFTs are gonna go to zero, because I was observing the behavior and everybody was just looking for a get rich quick or a quick trade. And so that's bad behavior, so that was obvious. Right now we're looking at AI. It's very easy. Everyone's getting captivated by AI, ChatGPT, Jasper this. And what's happening? We are demonizing it because we're scared of this big new technology, yet it's gonna be one of the greatest impacts on our society.
Where do you see the next big thing?
It's
NFTs?
I believe in NFTs tremendously. It was really just the way I saw it last year. Like if 99% aren't good, then 99% won't be valuable. 99% of social media accounts don't get big. Doesn't mean social media is not right. Yeah. So it's less about it. To me, the next big thing is executing on the current things. We're also living in a time where everyone is looking for scale and automation, which means scale, but not depth. The amount of people that are actually committed to building meaningful relationships with their customers is almost non-existent in the hyperbole of innovation. So what's interesting to me is the last 20 years, it seemingly looked like the people that had the advantages were the ones that invested in automation and scale and technology. And that's what we saw happen. What's happening now is because the cat is out of the bag and everybody understands that, that starts to over time become the commodity, and the advantage becomes the things that are not automated, that are not technology based, they're human based. This will be accelerated dramatically with AI. Soon everybody's white paper or presentations are gonna look the same because they're all gonna use the same technology. But the inputs from the human level become the variable.
Something you spoke about on stage is how communication is possibly the greatest thing that you can master. I personally believe your voice is your greatest asset. Someone like you, you're a voice to so many. Did you have a moment in your life, in your career, where you found your voice? How did you discover it, and how did you know how to use it?
I knew how to use it because all I'm really trying to do for the world is what my mom did for me, which is create a level of accountable, practical optimism and joy and love, not at the expense of merit. So it was easy for me to figure out what I wanted to do with my voice. As far as how I created it or structured it, or more importantly, protected it, one of the things that's really interesting about me in hindsight is how little I listen to other voices. I think one of the ways I found my voice was by really owning my voice because I wasn't spending time listening to other voices. My voice has been developed in the trenches of interacting with lots of people. And so I argue that a lot of people listening or watching should spend more time listening to lots of humans, listening to themselves. And so I'm very proud of how I've developed my voice. It came out of a deeply empathetic and deeply sympathetic and deeply motivated for value for others place, and I think that's why it's resonated.
Good now. 1 year, just following your advice.
Yes,
like
it's
doing
working.
Content, and playing the game as
Yes.
you do very well.
Yes.
I want your advice to take it to the next level now, higher. What was your advice?
Make sure you realize what you guys like to do,
Yeah.
what you're good at, right? You sit down, piece of paper, what do you like to do?
Yeah.
And what are you good at? And then the other side, what don't you like to do or what you're not good at? As soon as you have that side, you hire as much for that as possible.
Excellent. Thank you, brother.
Pleasure, congratulations. When I thought about building my dad's liquor store in the mid-90s, I ran newspaper ads and did radio and did direct mail. In the late 90s, very quickly I realized the internet was here, and that became email marketing and Google AdWords. The way I think everyone in here needs to navigate social media is, well, if you're a B2B company in here and you're not posting 3 or 4 times a day on LinkedIn to extract value of awareness and lead generation and consideration and brand building, then you're leaving opportunity on the table when the cost of awareness is almost zero. Anybody who's capable of doing anything at a better cost should do that.
Okay, so Gary covered a lot of things in that video, but did you catch what he said at the very end? If so, I'm not gonna say it. If so, put it in the comments below. And what do you think the biggest takeaway was on this? Don't be afraid of new technology, embrace it, and it will help you. Now, if you really want some help, check out this video right here. I think you're gonna like it. Hey, thanks for watching my video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and click that little bell right there so you can be notified every time I do a new video. Also, click on one of those videos there. Keep watching on my channel.